who brought you RuPaul's Drag Race and $1 Million Listing. This is World of Wonders Wow Report. Things that make us go wow.
Hi, I'm Fenton Bailey, co-founder of World of Wonder, and here with Tom Campbell, our creative inspiration.
Hello, Fenton. Nice to be here. I have a little creeping cry to my chest, so
You sound very sexy.
I'm sick too. We're all sick. Blake is sick as well.
James, you're always sick.
step away from your radio. We're contagious.
Oh my gosh. Touch wood, I have resisted any kind of lurgy this season. So
good for you.
Still early.
Yeah.
Knock on wood.
So what we do here, as you may know, is we count down the top 10 things that made us go
Wow
this week, and that's what we do. So let's do it.
We're off and running.
It's very important work.
Number 10.
I was lucky enough over this Thanksgiving holiday to go to New York for a few days and catch up with some dear old friends, and I packed a lot in.
Yeah.
And I'm going to start by talking about, I saw a preview of the Broadway play, the musical, The Cher Show.
Oh, yeah, and? Because I've been hearing mixed things about this.
I only saw Cher on the Kardashians this weekend.
What?
She is everywhere. I was in Vegas, and every radio, every speaker, everywhere was just playing Cher. It's like a Cher moment.
At the end of the day, I bow down and I tell you to go see The Cher Show.
Didn't like it.
I also say that it is, and Cher, if you're listening, call me. It's like the most expensive cruise ship show you've ever seen.
Okay.
It is, it's a Wikipedia page on Cher come to life. They tick every box, but
Right.
because you have to do a 50, 60-year career, it's hard to stop and do any emotion. The audience seemed deeply, magically in love with it.
Okay.
But I also,
Because you did read the thing where she stormed out of a preview and said, "This is horrible, and I won't have anything to do with this." And
it's
really?
got to be so personal for her.
right.
It must be so hard to do. And then I'm sitting there, and the reason that I'm not just trashing it is because by the end, just stay for the curtain call,
You know
which is
what?
Bob Mackie, who did all the gowns. The whole cast comes out, but in a different, all in the same color. They're in Robin Eggs blue, and they play "Take Me Home" for the first time. So
You know,
they always
Take me
give you
home.
take me
They
home.
need to do, like Netflix does these binge-worthy series. You need a musical that's binge-worthy. It should be like 10 evenings, right? A decade every evening.
Oh, I love that.
You see it over the course of a week, right?
Because I love the Cher story. I love the Sonny and Cher story. It's just you can't, when you have to do the whole damn thing, you can't really stop for any
What's
emotion.
the focus? What's the sort of...
Well, there's three Chers. There's two people playing Cher, and there have to be, because if Cher's in every scene
Yeah.
and she's wearing different clothes in every scene,
But there's 60 Cher, there's 70 Cher, there's
and
80 Cher,
and
there's 90
forever
Cher.
There's
Yeah.
forever Cher. And I have to also say that I've telling my bias is on RuPaul's Drag Race this past season 10. We did do Cher the Unauthorized musical, which I helped to make. And it's a little
And
bit
maybe they should
competitive.
have come to you.
It's a little bit competitive.
That's like 10 minutes long, right? That's not like...
Yes,
it's
exactly,
short, it's mini,
exactly.
you crap it up
But have
quick.
the same feeling. It starts off and it's like, dun, if I could turn back time. It's turn back time, Cher, and she's surrounded by sailors, and she stops and she says,
If I could turn back time, I would.
No, but first she says, you know what? It was great doing this with all the guys and all the sailors, but the world's changed, and I want to do it with women. And so there's two places to come up. In the middle of the stage is a little elevator, and then you have to run back. So everyone has to run back to get off stage because there's these big lit up screens. And so she runs away. Out come women. If I could turn back time, a chorus of girls. And then Cher shows up in wings that Courtney Act could improve upon. And she sings, if I could turn back time. And then she's like, take these shitty wings off of me. And then she says, there's two people I want you to meet, Cher and Cher. And so out comes 60 Cher and 70 Cher, and they narrate, and there'll be times where it's like, you've got to talk to Sunny 60 Cher. They don't say 60 Share, but they talk to each other.
3 shares on one stage.
Yes, throughout the entire thing.
I know Ru would love that because he loves threes.
So when you're first there, and it's like their mother comes up, Georgia, who's a wonderful woman, and we had her on the show, and it's like, and it's stuff like, Mama, today on the playground, one of the boys called me a half-breed. And so it's like, half-breed, that's all I ever heard. So it's like trying to take all of Cher's very disparate songs over the years, none of which she's written, I don't think, and put them into the narrative of her life. It's kind of mind-boggling. So I was knocking my friend Johnny the whole time. So the first 10 minutes are just like, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. And by the end, you're like, take me home.
I don't know. It's sort of. I can see it veers into nightmare category.
Okay, I'm going to
Does
say
she
this.
do The Beat Goes On?
Oh, doom, doom, doom. Yes, she does.
Does she do, what's that Dark Lady?
Dark Lady.
She does, but it's like, ladies and gentlemen, the Cher Show. Dark Lady, Love and Dance. There is it's such a tribute to Bob Mackie.
Are you just doing this so you can break out your Cher impersonation? Is that what this is?
If my voice wasn't so fucked up, this whole thing would have been bad as Cher. But this is my 60 Cher. This is my 70 Cher. No, but the last thing is there is a fashion show in the middle of it. It's that kind of show. And they just show all the Bob Mackie guns. Everyone's like, again, it's like tick, tick, tick on the Wikipedia. It's like, I remember that dress. I remember that dress. I remember that dress. And then, what am I thinking? I'm blanking because I'm sick here. Oh, I say this with so much respect because you talked about camp last week, and I can't tell the difference between real life and camp because I only pay attention to camp.
Right.
And this could be the mommy dearest of Broadway musicals.
So there's a light. There's a light.
Yes.
It could be, I mean, yes.
Cher, the Cher Show.
And when does that open? Oh, it runs through May 26th at the Neil Simon Theater in New York.
I predict it's going to be a huge hit, and it's going to be panned by the critics.
And it's a jukebox musical, right? It's in that
Yeah.
genre.
Oh. The mother says, no, the mother's like, Mom, what should I tell those girls? You use that song Half Breed, and you sing it to Life's face. She goes, Mom, what should I do? You should sing it to Life's face. It's that kind of writing.
Okay.
You'd like it.
I would? Okay. Wait, what are you saying? How dare you, sir?
I can't pick on Cher.
I want you to sing it to Life's face, James, number 9.
Number 9.
You guys, the Oscar race is off and running with a crackling start. We have The Favorite, which is absolutely the best movie of the year. No. Do you know what I'm talking about? Do you know what The Favorite is? Have you seen this?
It says it here.
No. I'm sorry. I'm changing it up because this is so important. This is so important. The Favorite. We need to talk about
Okay.
it. It's for 2 years now. I've been beseeching you. I've been imploring you to check out the work of Yorgos Lanthimos, this director who is working on a level that nobody else in Hollywood is doing. He did The Lobster. He did The Killing of a Sacred Deer. Okay.
Those pieces that I kind of glaze over when you tell us about them.
Okay.
I'm just being honest. Can't we work through the pain?
Okay.
What's he done now?
There is
What's
no
he done
glazing
now?
over this.
It's hard to follow. They're very cerebral, it seems.
No, it's not cerebral at all. Right. No, it's surreal is what it is. It's absurdist.
I knew there was an S in it.
Yes, okay. What he does is he writes and directs these movies in which it takes you to a different alternate reality in which is very surreal and crazy and insane, and yet he grounds it in this seriousness that is absolutely unbelievable. This is the first movie that he hasn't written, so it's a
What
straight.
movie are we talking about?
The Favorite.
What is it called?
It's called The Favorite, you guys. Jesus.
Favorite, right? Doesn't it have a U in it?
Yes.
All right. That
British
seems
spelling.
pretentious
You
to
guys
me.
haven't heard about The Favorite.
Well, it would be great if you told us that he was connected to the movie The
I
Favorite.
did. I've said The Favorite 4 times
I thought it was
now.
The Favorite to win the Oscar.
No, it's
I thought it was
called
your
The
favorite
Favorite.
movie.
I
It
thought
is
you-
my favorite movie, but it happens to be called The Favorite.
I was waiting for the big reveal.
Will you guys allow me to keep going,
Yes,
please? Okay.
The Favorite. I got it. I'm excited.
I have heard and read online that people love this movie. It's changed their life.
It is, like I'm telling you,
Okay.
it is the best movie of the year, probably of the decade.
Wow.
It is absolutely fantastic. It is Oscars for everyone around it, especially Olivia Colman, who plays Queen Anne. Okay, we are in the early 17th century, or
Okay.
early 18th century, 1705. Queen Anne, what
Yeah.
do you know about Queen Anne?
She ran the Netherlands for a bit and took over England for a moment.
Okay, she is a silly, capricious, vain, childlike, nasty old middle-aged woman, right? And she is surrounded by sycophants, of course, in her court, and everybody's trying to, bootlick her. And she has one best friend, a favorite, who is Duchess of Marlborough,
That's the name of the movie.
Sarah, Duchess of Marlborough, who is Winston Churchill's great-great-great-great-grandmother.
I had no idea.
It is true. Anyway, that's neither here
Should
nor
have
there.
known that. I'm
Okay,
sorry.
but anyway, so in the very beginning, the first scene, I'm not giving anything away. She comes out and she's got coal around her eyes, and she says, "I'm doing something new with my makeup. Do you like it?" And the Duchess of Marlborough says, "You look like a badger." And she says, you don't think I look pretty? And the Duchess of Marlborough hands her a mirror and says, what do you look like? And she says, a badger. And she says, come with me, I'm going to wipe it off your face. And they go in the next room and they start making out furiously. And they're just like rolling on the ground. It's just crazy, okay? So we learned very early on that Queen Anne was a lesbian. And this is true. There is some...
Try not to bang the table.
Oh,
Blake is telling us. But I will
try not to spill your coffee, says Blake.
We're just spilling tea. I got a little tissue. Okay, so
It's done.
Yeah, that'll work.
I can't believe it's the
good
favorite.
radio. Good radio.
Yes, good on TV.
A spill is fantastic on radio. Continue.
Okay,
Yes,
so
please.
anyway, the Duchess of Marlborough has a niece or a cousin who was a lady and fell upon hard times, and she comes to the castle and she implores her for a job. She says, "Will you please give?" And she becomes a scullery maid, and then she sort of like works her way up through the palace and ends up becoming a lady of the bedchamber and sort of flatters Queen Anne. And before you know it, they're having an affair. And then the Duchess of
I don't
Marlborough.
have to warn you about spoiler alert, do I? You're in
No,
control.
okay.
All right.
That's as
All
far
right,
as this
good.
is the first 10 minutes of the movie.
All right.
I'm not giving
All right.
anything away.
I'm just double checking.
So, but
Wow.
anyway,
Quite hot.
Steamy.
so the Duchess of Marlborough is sort of losing power. Abigail is gaining power, and it becomes sort of this psychosexual mind games, behind the scene palace intrigue. It is absolutely Olivia Colman, who plays the Queen, is going to win the Oscar, hands down. There's no argument
what
here.
elevates
What happened to
this?
Lady
Like,
Gaga?
what takes us out of the realm of steamy
Because
Tudors
this is Dangerous Liaisons
history
on steroids. It is, the writing is
On
so
estrogen.
It is so crisp. It is so crazy, and these absurdist touches that Yorgos Lanthimos lends to it are absolutely brilliant. The favorite, and Rachel Weisz. The performances, like I said, Olivia Colman hands down will win the Oscar. Rachel Weisz. Glenn Close will not.
Ladies and
win.
gentlemen, we're being
Melissa
invaded.
McCarthy,
No,
Glenn
Melissa
Close.
McCarthy, Lady Gaga,
No, no.
and Glenn Close are going to be nominated.
Melissa
Olivia
Mc-
Colman is going to win.
Okay, the Melissa McCarthy movie is like
This is Randy Barbato,
it's
co-founder
it's
of
like
World of Wonder.
NYU graduate film school movie. And
The wife
although
really
Jane
is-
Curtin.
Oh.
Jane Curtin will be nominated, should
Best
be nominated for
supporting.
supporting actress.
For what?
For If I Ever Knew, I'm Sorry. What's the name of it?
The
It's these
Melissa McCarthy,
movies.
where she plays the author who's
What is the
signed
name
all
of What is the name of that movie?
I don't know, it's
There,
something.
there are these movies that are out. That one and the one. What's the name of the Joaquin Phoenix movie? It's like, You Will Never Remember. Was I Ever Here? How can I am? Will I ever be sorry? There's a whole bunch of movies
Are
like
you,
that.
you have your screeners clearly. You have your
I
Oscar
have my
screeners.
screeners.
It sounds
and-
like a strong year for Oscars. Although, James, I thought you were going to talk about Suspiria.
Well, I will talk about Suspiria. You just have that's next.
Oh,
The
okay.
first one, I really
Randy,
need to talk about the favorite. 'cause
Thanks for dropping by.
It was really nice seeing you guys. I like the backdrop, a little soft focus now. It's
yeah,
good,
it's nice,
right?
it's
You guys
nice.
all look good.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
It also stars Nicholas Hoult, who is this generation's Keanu Reeves. Every time you see him in a period piece, you're like, "What are you doing here? You should be in Skins."
So the favorite's out right now.
yeah. Also, but I do want to say that Joe Alwyn is also in it. And do you know who Joe Alwyn is? He's Mr. Taylor Swift. He's Taylor Swift's boyfriend, and he's absolutely fantastic in this. I really can't say enough about this. Best screenplay, best costume, best directing, best director, Yorgos Lanthimos, best actress, best supporting actress, all of them.
And I'm sorry, I didn't catch the name of the movie.
The Favorite.
Thank you.
Okay. Number 8.
Number 8.
Last night, I was in Vegas.
Oh.
And I
You
took,
went there last night?
I
and
took
you went-
on a
Nolan. I just got
weeknight?
back. I took Nolan to Nolan and Billy. We went to Gordon Ramsay. Yes,
Yeah.
we went to Hell's Kitchen,
Oh.
his restaurant. The
Did you go to
show-
Vegas just for dinner?
Kind of
Okay.
like we
This
went,
is
but
the
we-
life.
we-
The
no,
life.
We kind of went for 2 days, so we also we just went. We didn't go to see any shows. We just went to just have a little break and
Okay.
give Nolan some quality time.
Some peace and quiet in Vegas.
Nolan is
Actually, the place was basically empty. It was
but
really
Nolan
nice.
is quite the Epicurean. Am I right? He's
Nolan,
very
yes, he has sophisticated tastes, and it was amazing because Hell's Kitchen has been on air for something like 17 seasons, and I don't know if you've seen the show, but it's a fierce cooking show. You have a red team, you have a blue team, and Gordon Ramsay's swearing and abusing everybody, and it's got that fantastic sign of a pitchfork, HK, and a pitchfork and flames, and so they basically just recreated the set as a restaurant. Now, being Vegas, you assume that there'd be all sorts of shenanigans and people shouting and screaming, but actually there wasn't. It was just a
visual reference.
It was just a really nice meal, and it's in the place. It's at Caesars, and it's in the place that used to be occupied by Serendipity,
Oh, right.
which used to be Warhol's favorite place, where he used to go and get frozen hot chocolate. And for years they had a place,
another one in
Serendipity,
Manhattan.
on the Strip. Yeah,
Oh.
and then I don't know what happened. They got booted out. Hell's Kitchen is there, and it's right across from the Flamingo, and it's absolutely spectacular. Now, the two main things Gordon Ramsay is known for, I guess, or his shows have made famous, are his lobster risotto, which really is unbelievable. I mean, it's just unbelievable. It's hard to talk about food, or I've never talked about food, so I don't know what to say.
What is it?
It's
What
just
is a lobster
unbelievable.
risotto? What is it?
It's a risotto. It's like risotto, creamy rice with but there's a lobster in it. And then
I get gout just thinking about that dish. That sounds
beef
very rich.
Wellington, which has some connection with the Duke of Wellington. I'm not sure what, but basically it's steak wrapped in pastry.
Yes. Sure.
My mum, bless her soul, cooked it once, and my father said it looked like a bloody great pastry, and they didn't speak for weeks. It was almost like a divorce, but it's also this bœuf en croûte, as the French call it. Beef Wellington is absolutely, it's just delicious. So we had that, and yeah, I was sort of intrigued because Gordon Ramsay, he runs almost 50 restaurants around the world. 5 of them in Vegas alone, which I thought was
a bit of overkill.
I suppose so. We had lunch at the Gordon Ramsay pub, which is also in Caesar's Palace. And
Was there
you
dessert?
stay
Was there dessert?
sticky toffee pudding. That's his other signature dish.
That sounds good.
And you know what he does with the sticky toffee pudding? He does a bar of ice cream, a bar dimensionally shaped, just like a stick of butter. So you actually think as you put your spoon into this ice cream, you actually eat it, and it's browned butter flavor ice cream with sticky toffee pudding. I tell you, it's a mouthgasm.
Now, did you
an
stay at
endless
Caesar's
mouthgasm.
Palace, or did you?
We stayed at the what's it called? The Nomad, which is the new
Yes.
hotel within a hotel that's just opened. The Park. MGM has redone.
It's a hotel in a
what used to
hotel?
be-
I don't understand.
Yes, it's a new thing in
It's
Vegas.
like a boutique inside the big hotel.
Yes, you have the big hotels like the Park or
They're like,
Bellagio.
how can we get more money from Fenton? We'll make a boutique
And then they
hotel.
open a boutique hotel. So, like for example, I think it might be Caesars. They have the Nobu Hotel inside Caesars, and so hotels within hotels.
Yeah.
It's a new thing, which is
It's the beef Wellington of hotels.
Yeah, a hotel
you.
within a hotel.
Thank you.
But I was inspired, because the waiter said it's the only restaurant in Vegas. He said the only restaurant in Vegas that's actually based on a TV show. And I thought, oh, wow.
That can't be right.
Well, in Vegas,
I
he
bet.
probably is right. But I was thinking, even around the world, there can't be that many.
Well, there was that one in Times Square that was a failure that was off the Food Channel chef.
The restaurant, was it?
Oh,
Yeah.
Gaffieri.
Yes.
And we
This was
just
supposed to
had
get the worst review ever, get like 0 stars.
we just had that Saved by the Bell pop-up thing here.
Yeah.
Right.
All I know is that we're gonna have a meeting right after this. You're gonna bring the company together. We're gonna have to think of $1 million listing restaurants and RuPaul's Drag Race
have to-
restaurants and Big Frida restaurants.
I love it. That's a great idea. But I did discover there is a Krusty Krab. Do you know there's a Krusty Krab restaurant for real?
Well,
That
Yeah.
makes
Oh.
sense. That
Do you
totally
know-
makes sense.
Do you know where it is?
At the bottom of the sea.
It's in Palestine.
oh.
I know
Oh
it
my
seems
God.
weird. Okay.
I have no immediate plans to go to Palestine, but if I'm there,
You will.
Krusty Krab it is.
Hey. Okay, you can visit Gordon Ramsay's Hell's Kitchen at Caesar's Palace in Las Vegas, but you have to book ahead. I mean, the place is booked up for like
Super
for
expensive?
years. No, not really.
On
I
par
mean,
with the other-
It's like overpriced, but it's like it's not,
you're worth it.
It's not insane. We'll be right back. This is the WOW Report on Radio Andy, but first I have to ask you a question.
Yep.
What article of clothing does Gordon Ramsay have specially made? We'll have the answer for you when we come back.
Okay.
This is the WOW Report on Radio Andy.
You're listening to World of Wonders WOW Report.
Welcome back to the WOW Report, our countdown of the top 10 things that make us go,
Wow.
I'm here with, my name is Fenton. I'm here with Tom and James, St. James, and Blake.
Hi.
Hey. So, we're talking about Gordon Ramsay,
You were.
restaurateur, television personality, larger than life. Apparently, he's very nice in real life. I couldn't tell you, but all that swearing and stuff doesn't go on, apparently. Anyway, question was, what article of clothing does he have specially made?
I know what this is.
I know.
His rubber underwear.
I was going to go underwear, but you said rubber.
Rubber.
I love that.
I was going to say his Crocs.
I was going to say his probably the chef hat and the little chef outfit.
I'm going to say it's his apron.
It's his shoes. He wears a size 15.
15.
Oh.
Boing. That goes along with his rubber underwear, I think.
Okay.
They stretch.
What we got here?
Number 7, Tom.
Number 7.
I was going to talk about all my stuff in New York, and I did amazing things in New York, and I'll have to spread it out over a couple of weeks. But on the flight back, I saw the acceptance speech of the Mark Twain Prize by Julia Louis-Dreyfus. And it is the funniest 14 minutes that you will experience.
A 14-minute acceptance speech.
At the end, it's hilarious. It's like the best, it's like a roast, basically, the Mark Twain Awards has become that.
What is it for? What is it
The
for?
Comedy Awards,
Yes.
right?
Letterman's won it. Tina Faye has won it, on and on and on. And she is so... I have taken Julia Louis-Dreyfus for granted. She is at the top of the heap.
The most successful sitcom star of all time, I believe, is what they've said.
And as beautiful as she was the day she came out.
It's true. She's had
Freakily.
three of the of number one shows,
And
right?
you forget she was in National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation,
best,
The Neighbor.
best Christmas movie of all time.
And they do all of it. And, Seinfeld was there. Colbert was there. Tina Fey was there. Kamal Nanjiani. And the humor, we normally would try to recreate the humor, and you guys would just sort of flatline. I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to implore you. And my friend Greg, I sent it out, and I put it on my social media, and I sent it to friends directly, like, you have to watch this. I sent it to you guys about late last night. And he said, watch the whole show. And the whole show is super enjoyable, but there's nothing, because there's no one who's so beautiful, elegant, hilarious. And it's funny because on Seinfeld and on Old Christine, she got Emmys for that, and Veep, I guess she's in the same category, but they're very different characters.
Well, and they're also they're all ensemble pieces, and so she shines definitely.
Yeah.
But she gives everybody a chance to shine, and you sort of take for granted that she is a funny lady.
And Seinfeld got up there. I can't recreate how many. You have to really watch it. But Seinfeld's one thing that sticks with me. He said, we made a pilot for NBC. I don't think they liked it very much. It was me and George Costanza was playing Larry David. And then Larry David had a roommate called Kramer, so we added him. We made a pilot, and they didn't really seem to like it that much. But they said, we'll let you do a couple more, but there's a network note. And then he goes off like, network notes, for those who don't are the worst ideas ever. He goes, they're just the worst. It's like asking me to go into the desert and find bauxite. It's like, I don't know what bauxite is. I wouldn't know if I found it. I'm not a geologist. It's like, I don't do that. And network executives don't make comedy. So they're always the worst idea ever. Their network note was, why don't you add a girl character? He goes, so just so you know, we're here in the Kennedy Center and the Mark Twain Award, but Julia Louis-Dreyfus' career is all because of a network note. So keep that in mind. The way they talked about it was she was discovered in Chicago with her husband, Brad Hall, who she's still with.
Yeah.
And a couple, Gary Kroger and somebody else, and they were a troupe that got snatched up and put on the Saturday Night Live. I didn't watch I watched the Saturday Night Live in the 70s. I went to college, didn't watch TV, and that's when Lorne Michael left, and it was Dick Ebersol, and the only real star immediately out of it was like Joe Piscopo and Eddie Murphy, and she was kind of pushed aside, not used well, but she started there. So keep on keeping on, and the Broad City Girls were there. It's the most hilarious show, but if you only have a few minutes to, while you're driving, something to watch the acceptance speech, the Mark Twain Prize, Julia Louis-Dreyfus. It will change your life. It'll make you believe. Oh, and because they're also taking the most clever, sophisticated swipes at Trump you will ever. At one point, she's like, the president couldn't be here, which is weird because he lives very close from Monday to Wednesday. Anyway, Julia Louis-Dreyfus.
I can't wait to see that. That's fantastic. So, James, what do you got for number 6?
Number 6.
Well, now at number 6, I'm doing.
I don't know why I have a script.
I just like to keep you on your toes, is what it is.
I love it.
Switch it up. We're doing Suspiria right now. I went to go see Suspiria in the theater. Suspiria is based on.
Is it the favorite? For the Oscar?
No.
Suspiriously, it's not.
Suspiria is based on the classic 1970s art house horror film of the same name, directed by Dario Argento.
I had no idea it was a remake.
Yeah, Dario Argento did a lot of art films that were sort of horror. He was very famous for his use of color. The bloods are very red, and the sky is very blue, and there's a yellow that's, just fabulous, fabulous colors. That's what people always rave about with Dario Argento in this movie. This is a remake, and it stars Tilda Swinton in 3 roles. And sometimes I think with Tilda Swinton...
It's like 3 Chers.
Yes, the theme, a leitmotif in our show. Sometimes I think with Tilda Swinton, I think she comes on and she says that I want to do this role and this role and this role, and nobody has the nerve to say no to her. So
saves money, I guess.
Yes, I don't know if it actually works in this context. It's a very slow moving build up to what's going on. It's Dakota Johnson comes into, she's a student, American student. She comes to Berlin, 1970s. She goes to a dance school, and unbeknownst to her, that it's a coven of witches, and so. It like I said, it's sort of a slow burn, and it's sort of told in these moneyed tones, and it's very Tilda Swinton runs the place, and but very early on there is a scene, that is the most gruesome thing ever committed to film in the history of film. When you think of Passion of the Christ, the death scene there, when you think of the meat hook scene in what is it? The Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Yeah.
When you think of these scenes, this is something that is so horrible. People were throwing up in the audience. People were racing out of the theater. People were screaming. I turned around. Not one person was looking at it. It is impossible to watch. And it goes on, and it goes on, and it goes on, and it gets worse, and it gets worse. It is unbelievable, and for that reason alone, you need to go see this movie, because it is so horrific. It is so hard to watch. It's a genius of horror. It's absolutely. Then later there's a slow build. It is. You will be sick when you watch this. I can watch a lot of things. I have a steel stomach.
That I don't doubt.
But this was so. And then at the very end of the movie, there's a big dance scene, and it's all the reds and the blues and everything that I was telling you about. All the colors he does, they do a pastiche of that, and it's all the witches are dancing, and there's summoning Satan. It's not a spoiler alert. They are the witches. Sure,
Witches,
that's
Satan.
what they do.
That's what they do. That's what they do. Exactly. And they're all nude and dancing around. And that's really fabulous. It's directed by Louis Guadagnino, the guy who did Call Me By Your Name.
Oh, that's right.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. So it's fascinating. If you get a chance to watch it on the big screen, I think it might already be out.
So you weren't offended by the most grotesque?
No, I was
horror scene
turned
you've ever
on.
seen?
It was fantastic.
How much of it did you see? What percentage before you turned away? You watched the whole thing.
I watched the whole thing. Yeah, I was sitting. I was applauding. I was standing on my feet saying, "Yes, yes."
Okay. I'm going to see it in a theater with a beautiful architecture so I can look at the ceiling during that moment. The chandelier.
Suspiria is in theaters now.
Number 5.
Well, at number 5, I just have to talk about this story. The more I read about it, the more fascinating it is to me. Dolce & Gabbana's Crazy Asian Meltdown.
Okay.
I have not clicked on any of the links, but I'm aware that it's happening. They
are
apologize too. Tell us everything.
Well, okay.
First of all, hold on. Backtrack a little bit, because they are so problematic, and they are constantly doing this crap.
Well, exactly. So, but here's what happened, and I'm sure many of you already know, but they, for a while now, well, first of all, they have huge sales, as most luxury brands do, in Asia. It's the big growth there. I think that normally accounts for about a third of all the revenues, so significant. And for years now, they've been planning the Great Show. And it was going to be this extravaganza. Interestingly, they've alienated the press to such an extent that they don't let many critics go to the shows.
Can I say that because the way they've alienated the press, they are anti-gay marriage, they are anti-gay adoption for 2 gay men. I mean, they're just problematic all around.
Like cranky drunks or something.
They are, and they are the only people who will dress Melania, so that tells you a little bit about them right there.
So this was a 12. You basically preempted my whole piece.
Oh, no, to take it all out and start over again.
No, it's fine. Look, it was going to be a $12 million extravaganza with 300 looks. And thank you for doing that. And they release ahead of this, they released a video which shows a model, Asian model, trying to eat things with chopsticks like spaghetti and pizza and a very large cannoli, which as she's trying to get this cannoli up with the chopsticks, the voiceover says, "Is it too huge for you?" I mean, it's kind of it's
But
gross.
you can hear the pitch meeting where you can see if you're problematic anyway, you might think that was funny.
Their
but
own department in China warned them against
Yes,
doing it.
yes.
But they
Well,
went
when
ahead
that
with it
happens-
anyway. And then they get called out and they take the video down. But it doesn't end there because Stefano Gabbano,
Dolce, yeah,
There's- with the
Joe
Gabba-
Dolce
the-
and Stefano Gabbano.
the Gabbana one, he gets into this spat on Instagram with this amazing Instagram actually called Diet Prada. Have you seen it?
Yeah.
Diet Prada basically calls out injustices in the fashion business. So
Good for them.
They were having a field day with this and lured Stefano Gabbana into replying. And he was like saying, the country of using the shit emoji is China.
yeah.
China, ignorant, dirty smelling mafia. They eat dogs. I mean, just like reprehensible nonsense.
And then he had the
And
nerve to
then-
say, yes.
But then it gets even better because then he claims that he was hacked and that it wasn't him. And he put me, not me, in big red letters over the frame grab of it. Well, I mean, it's just ridiculous because his site was up and running the whole time. It obviously wasn't hacked. And just the lame excuses go. And needless to say, though, everybody starts backing out of this show. The models start backing out. People stop going. And then even the government gets involved and cancels the show. So here they are, basically destroying their market base. People were burning Dolce & Gabbana clothes. The show was canceled.
You know,
The great show became the great no-show. And finally, yes. They apologized. But James is quite right.
yeah,
This
they're
is-
horrible people.
Yeah.
This is their brand, unfortunately.
Yeah.
They're
And they've been
despicable.
doing this for
Right.
about 5-10 years now. They've been saying these really problematic things and everything. And it's a shame because their clothes are interesting and they're doing something that nobody else does.
But that's where I have an issue because I actually think, in addition to all this sort of bigotry and prejudice and nonsense that they are responsible for, because I, as the father of 2 adopted kids, really took exception to this idea that you shouldn't be 2 gay dads was a wrong thing, especially coming
disgusting.
from other gay men. It's
Yes,
like,
yeah.
fuck you. Number one. But number 2, and I could go on about this forever, I think they've basically destroyed couture.
Yeah.
I think that their whole aesthetic of expensive trash has actually sort of spread like a virus. And in fact, if you look at luxury brands like Louis Vuitton, Chanel, Prada,
Gucci,
they're all doing
expensive trash.
expensive trash.
But by the same token, though, I do recall you being over the moon about Moschino, which is expensive trash.
yes.
So what is the difference?
I think you have to have a discerning.
Moschino is camp.
In celebrate
Darling.
exactly. Thank you. Blake. And
Pop art.
in celebrating bad taste, you have to. There's a sensibility to it, and I just don't think.
And they
Dolce
do
&
take it
Gabbana
very, they take it
have that
very
sensibility.
seriously, but they do the embellishment and everything in a very sophisticated manner. But they are trash, and I won't
just think,
support them.
practically speaking, another country I heard from, it's like people don't really dress up anymore. So the couture lines have to be like made of denim. You know what I mean? Like they have to somehow fit into this idea that we're Kardashians on a jet with our yoga pants flying to the next thing.
No,
you
you're
know?
right. I mean, I was in Vegas, and you go from one casino to the next. It is the same damn shops. There is a Chanel, there is a Gucci, there is a Louis Vuitton, there is a Prada. All the same shops in every single
But
casino, and they're all selling the same stuff. Cosmetic jewelry.
That's what I'm saying.
Iron-on
All
patches.
they don't at those shops anymore, like at the Bev Center. They don't
Ramsay.
sell clothes anymore. It's just purses, shoes, and perfume.
Billy said,
branding,
said,
right?
like,
Yeah.
what is this? Why does everyone dress like a clown nowadays? And in a way, it does look. They do, the shop windows, they
Bianca
do
Del
look like
Rio.
crazy bag ladies,
Bianca Del Rio, he said. nice tie-up, Dwayne. Thank you very much. Putting it in perspective for us.
So, there you go.
All right.
Now, we're
All
going to take a quick break. But I do have to tell you, God, I'm sorry. But, of course, you know this, right? On Thursday night, which was the day after their big show in China was canceled, Melania Trump wore one of her Dolce dresses to Thanksgiving dinner. I mean, it just like.
And the horrible thing about this is forever and ever and ever, the first ladies have always worn American fashion. Forever, Nancy
Right.
Reagan couldn't, Jackie Kennedy couldn't wear Chanel, so she had
Right.
Igor, whatever
With
his
the
name.
exception of maybe if there was like a state dinner with a foreign dignitary, they might do something. But yes.
But very rarely,
Yeah.
though. I mean, that's why Nancy did Adolfo instead of Chanel, and so.
Well, Melania has such great taste, though.
But
The
it's
war
weird
against
that Melania.
Christmas.
will
Melania
not-
is leading the war against Christmas with those red
Oh my
chicks.
God!
Have you seen the meme
Christmas-
with the
Yeah.
car wash spinners?
Oh, have you seen the one with the Handmaid's Tales on them? Yeah.
There is
Anyway.
some brilliant writing on, I think, OneCat and other websites describing the horror show of this year's Melania Trump Christmas
blood red
decorations.
Christmas trees.
Have a Dolce Christmas. And a
All right.
And a Gabbana New Year.
We were going to ask a Dolce & Gabbana related trivia question, but I don't think they deserve it.
No,
You-
don't give them.
Right.
Don't give it to
Let's
them.
move on.
RuPaul's Drag Race Holly Slay Spectacular next Friday. 8 queens will
God.
reunite and compete for the title of Drag Race Xmas Queen. Tune in Friday, December 7th, 8
It's
p.m.
a hoot. I was there.
It's a
Trust
hoot.
me. Gotta
Christmas
watch.
hoot.
One off, one special.
We'll be right back.
Change your life.
You're listening to World of Wonders Wow Report.
Welcome back to the WOW Report, our countdown of the top 10 things of the week that made us go,
Wow.
I think we've reached the top 5. Yeah, we have. We're at number 4.
Number 4.
Back to my New York trip. Back to my theater. The last minute I got tickets this time for my friend Johnny, who I stayed with in the Upper West Side and saw the parade go by, and Zoe, our dear friend from Broadway, joined us. And the only way I could get tickets to this particular show, it's very hot, was to get one seat for me in the front row, Johnny behind me in the second row, Zoe behind us in the third row. So we kind of owned the first 3 rows because we got there early, and we saw it Friday matinee. It was so cold. Everyone had so many things. It was like we were all, and the seats are so small.
They are.
That everyone was sort of. We felt like we were all like in a bed, like watching, like in a couch with a throw, watching TV in front of us.
Those seats are so small, and then you have to take off all these layers,
Yes.
and then there's just
Then we're
no
on
way.
top of
you
it.
just-
And I did say to the people next to me, because I'm big and they're big, I said, let's just get out of the way right now that we are going to be touching each other. If there's any area that we should know about that sensitivity, because I don't want your silent scoring during, when I have to shift my weight and lean on you. And
Is
we
that
all,
where you got your cold?
we all
from,
got
like,
along, perhaps.
No.
Also, right next to my friend Johnny in the second row, Mary Lou Hunter, next to her,
Oh.
Bernadette Peters. So when we brought these 3 rows together, it was so special. It was
Did
like,
you make eye contact with Bernadette?
I did. She just pushed me aside. But we went to see the Waverly Gallery.
I don't know about this.
What is that?
It is Kenneth Lonergan's memory play. It was produced 20 years ago. It's done again now, and it's about, he plays the grandson, the role of the grandson, who's played by Lucas Hedges,
I love Lucas Hedges.
the boy in Boy Erased, and he was in
God.
Manchester by the Sea, which is
Yeah.
a Kenneth Lonergan.
Uh-huh.
And it's all about his grandmother slipping into dementia.
Oh, dear.
And as you'll say, sounds like a blast, but it was the best written, best actor play I may have seen in my whole life. I almost am crying sensory when I think of it. Elaine May, the very famous Elaine May,
Yeah,
plays the
wrote
grandmother.
Ishtar.
She wrote, well, that's her worst thing. But
But
she,
she's famous with her. She was a
Mike
comedy
Nichols.
duo. Yeah.
she and Mike Nichols created a comedy team
in the 50s.
Yes, in what became Second City in Chicago. And it's hard. I've never. It was before my time, and I love stuff before my time. But a whole generation was influenced. We have Saturday Night Live now and all these things because of Elaine May and Mike Nichols. The last time she was on Broadway, she's had a illustrious career in film and directing and whatnot. The last time she was in a Broadway theater was in this theater that she performed in 50 years later in this play.
Wow.
And Joan Allen plays her daughter,
Sure.
and she's an amazing actress. And Michael Cera plays this.
I love Michael Cera.
Oh my God! I can't believe I walked into this. I didn't really know what it was about. Johnny said, "Let's get tickets to this," so I got them.
Why is it called the Waverly guy? It's like
She's this wonderful, her backstory. She's this wonderful liberal Upper West Side, Greenwich Village, a Jewish woman who's, was in Germany when the Nazis were there and was an American who went to Germany right before the war and escaped and was always social and you just get this idea of what a wonderful life she had. And she ran a little gallery with kind of shitty art. And it was all about that they, it was more about her connection with the community, and she was always so nice to people. She takes Michael Cera in, and even in the play, because he doesn't have a place to go. He's a Boston, artist with sort of stuff, and she gets to sleep in the back room, and it's all about this gallery being taken away from her because she can't be there alone. And it's hard to explain. It is, but the dialogue, like people, she's going off and having memory lapses. She'll keep asking the same thing, like, "So, can you cook?" You know, she would get lost in certain things, and then the family's talking about her, and she's talking, and there's all this overlap of dialogue, which works so brilliantly. And I, when it was over, I just wept and wept and wept. It just scratched off a scab of it just connected. And you know how sometimes when you sit in the front row, a play, you lose the illusion because you can see the makeup.
It's too close.
Yeah, when you can see a mic and thing. It was like I said, we were all like on a couch watching this happen in real time. It was so beautiful. The Waverly place. I can't say enough about it.
Runs through January 27th at the Golden Theater in New York City. Wow. So when you cried afterwards, did you wait till you got back to your room?
No, God forbid. Like, I wept a little bit during the play. Everyone did. Like, we were all in our blankets crying.
Did
then
Bernie
it's
give you a
done.
tissue?
No, she did not.
Oh.
But she gave me a little dab of her hair, which looks very absorbent. She's perfect. She doesn't. Doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
She's her hair is so lustrous. Her skin is so tight and white. Anyway, I couldn't stop. I am the guy that will weep with the lights going up the thing. I just can't stop crying. It was about mortality. It was about and things are happening in life with different people, but it doesn't matter how you lived. No one earns the end. It just comes the way it comes, and how it affects the family. It was just beautiful. And as my other little Broadway footnote is, I just heard that Head Over Heels, the musical, the Go-Go's musical, is closing.
Yeah.
So if you want to see that, because I talked about that on a previous show. It's hard to explain what that is because it's so many things, but they all come together and they're brilliant. So if you haven't seen Head Over Heels, if you've been waiting, if you've been hesitating, go see it. Peppermint, of course, from RuPaul's Drag Race, is the first openly trans actress to have a featured role on Broadway. And that's not the reason to go, but it's not a bad reason. Okay. Thank you.
James.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you. James, number 3.
Number 3.
On the flip side of that, I watched something called The Kominsky Method on Netflix, and it's about aging, and it's about growing old, and it stars Michael Douglas and Alan Arkin. It also stars my great friend Lisa Edelstein, who is I've known for 37 years.
Lisa E.
Lisa E. She was Club Kid.
day.
Lisa E. She was on House for 10 seasons. She stars in The Girlfriend's Guide to Divorce on Bravo. She plays Alan Arkin's drug-addicted middle-aged daughter, and she's very funny. It's Anne Margaret is in it.
I saw her head in a preview.
Yeah, Danny DeVito is in it. It's got a really great cast. It's 25-minute sound by
Episode.
It's a series.
It's a series,
Very
yeah.
good.
And it's Michael Douglas is an actor who's sort of fallen on hard times. He was a movie star. Now he runs like an actor studio, and for millennials who are just brats and they don't care about acting, blah blah blah. It's written by Chuck Lorre, which is so you have a lot of prostate jokes and a lot of sex was better in the 70s jokes. It's very sort of broad humor, but it works and it's really good. Every week they meet at Musso and Frank's, Alan Arkin, and right across the street from World of Wonder.
You're watching,
yeah.
yes.
Michael Douglas, and they meet to ostensibly talk about their careers, talk about job offers and stuff, but they end up just sort of veering into old men bitching, and it's
What does that sound like? Wait.
exactly.
They stole our game.
But it's hetero, but it's funny, and it's like I said, it's only 25 minutes. It's not terribly highbrow, but it works.
It sounds like they're trying to capture some of the magic they did with Lily Tomlin and Jane Fonda.
It is. It's the male version of that,
okay.
exactly.
Because they couldn't be bigger stars or more well-known around the world. At one point, Frankie and Gracie, maybe still was the most watched show on Netflix.
Really?
It's because, their stardom, Lily and
Well,
Jane's stardom
I
goes
can
around the
see
globe.
this is the same thing because it's Alan Arkin. We forget. You talk about Julia Louis-Dreyfus, but Alan Arkin is a great American treasure that doesn't get the respect that he's due because he's really, really funny in this. And they've been friends for like 50 years, and so they know they know the buttons to push on each other.
So it's worth seeing. I've seen him promoting it.
Yeah.
A lot. I want to see it. This stupid footnote is that Michael Douglas lives in my friend Johnny's building, and so does Catherine Zeta-Jones. So I just created it. Made no sense. This is why Johnny and I are such friends. It's like it's Catherine Zeta cold today. Everything was Catherine Zeta. Just try that at home. Just put Catherine Zeta the lead into anything.
Okay,
This is
then
Catherine Zeta delicious.
so that's the Kominsky Effect, currently streaming on Netflix.
Kominsky
And-
Method. Sorry.
Sounds like the
Oh, yeah,
Kominsky method is
Kominsky-
Catherine Zeta good.
And my item at Catherine Zeta number 2
Number 2.
is Tea with Dames.
Oh, you saw it.
I saw it.
How is
James.
it?
Tea with Dames is great. You've seen it, right?
No, I've only seen
There was
the
a trailer
preview,
that
the
got us very
trailer.
excited.
Oh,
Yeah.
Did you talk about the trailer on the
I
show?
did talk about the trailer, yeah.
Yes. Well, I saw the whole thing because it's Oscar season's coming up.
So you're getting
and
the
so you get
screeners?
all the screeners, and I was like, oh my God, I got to watch this. Plus, I know the commissioning editor, Mark Bell, is a great friend of mine at the BBC in England, and he told me about it and was very excited about it. It was called originally Nothing Like a Dame, but for some reason, and that's what you see on the slate, they have they insert the crew and things, and you see that on the slate, but then it's Tea with the Dames, and basically it's Joan Plowright,
Who is married to Laurence Olivier.
exactly,
Yeah.
very good, born in 1929, Judi Dench,
Oh, God bless her.
in 1934, but
Amazing.
Maggie Smith,
Oh, God.
also born in 1934, and I didn't really know Eileen Atkins.
Oh, she was in Oscar Wilde's. She was very famous playing.
Yes.
But anyway, I'm
There
sorry.
you go, she was. And she also created, I did not know this, she's one of the creators of Upstairs Downstairs,
Oh.
a fabulous British
Oh my
TV series.
gosh.
And it's not really about it. I mean, that's the other thing. They're all dames, right? They're
Yes.
all dames of the British Empire.
Yes.
And they sit around and talk, they gather for tea, and they just chortle away.
Because they're real friends.
They're real friends. They are real friends.
And they've acted together for 50
and
years. They know each other. And
They just tell hilarious sort of stories of reminiscing. There's a great moment where they're like, how do you do Shakespeare? Because they just don't like the way of trying to make Shakespeare sound like it's really spoken. They feel you've got to give it the artifice. You've got to give in to the rhythm. And at one point, the director, who's called, what was the director called? Roger something. The director tries to get them to talk about aging. And James Judi Dench just turns to him and says, "Fuck off, Roger." So it's that kind of,
they're salty old dames.
salty dames.
Yes, uh-huh.
Thank you. Yes. At one point, and I think you talked about this, James, Maggie and Judy get into it a little bit because Maggie goes to the States and they're like, her agent says, "Oh, we'll look around for a nice cameo. Judy hasn't got her paws on." Because Judi Dench is always getting the roles. Although I think kind of Maggie Smith is the one getting all
Maggie
the
has had,
roles.
she's had quite a career resurgence in the last 10 years.
I watched on Thanksgiving the First Wives Club. Remember she was in
She's
that?
so good in that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She is? Oh my God. Yeah.
Oh,
I
she
mean,
plays like a Pat Buckley character,
Yeah,
doesn't
she's
she?
going to introduce you to the right people.
Yes.
And she's all part of the scam of setting
Uh-huh.
up Sarah Jessica Parker.
Yeah.
I mean, in terms of sort of pearls of wisdom about aging, I mean, it was just great to see them. They start off in the garden having tea, and then it rains, and they go inside, and they drink water, and then they think, oh, well, we should have some champagne. And, it takes place over a number of days. And you get the impression that Dame Judi Dench and Dame Maggie Smith are really close friends. I
Yeah.
mean, they're actually born within like a couple of weeks of each other. But they just have that, it could have almost been just
the two of them, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, and Joan Plowright, who's the elderly most lady of the group, she's sort of not in failing health, but I don't think she can really see, or I don't think she can really hear. So she's just a little bit out of it, but it was really.
They still love her, James.
It was a lovely thing to watch. And the good news is, you can actually watch it right now on, let's see, it's on iTunes, right?
Yeah, you can
So we got
rent
a
it or
theatrical
own it.
release. You can watch it on iTunes, and it may be up for an Oscar, you're thinking.
Google Play or Amazon Prime too. Yeah, I think it is, as a contender, but I'm not sure.
Tell me if this is true, because
if it will.
my impression, which I like about England, is very little things that but is that the rich, famous people who stay there, because they don't have to stay there, they can go anywhere, and they live. It always seems, I'm sure they live well, but it seems like they live on a human scale. Do you think that's true?
Oh yeah, I would say it's not Trumpian. It's not very
Right.
blingy. They all seem to live in cottages or nice houses in the country.
Yeah.
You're right. They do live on a human scale. But of course, these characters also are sort of theme park Britain characters. All the roles they play are sort of chocolate box England, right? And to some extent, they embody it. And I suppose, in a way, you could say, well, they must be trapped by that perception. But really, they're just, as James said it perfectly, just said it, salty. I love
Yes.
that.
Salty.
Full of piss and vinegar.
I love it. I love
All
it.
right. Oh, RuPaul's Drag Race All-Stars 4 coming in just 2 weeks today. That's Friday, December the 14th.
So set your DVR because the Christmas special is Friday, December 7th.
Yes.
Next week. And then the All-Star season starts December 14th with a whole new set of queens.
And when we come back, we'll reveal the number one thing this week that made us go,
Wow.
So Wow Report on Radio Andy.
You're listening to World of Wonders Wow Report. Things that make us go wow.
Okay, welcome back. We have been counting down the top 10 things that make us go, wow.
Wow.
And time for a self-serving number one.
Number 1.
What is it?
It's the Wowies, James.
Oh.
Awards season.
The best of the best of social media and what is it?
Well, James, if you don't know, is the editor of the Wow Report.
Yes.
Which is the inspiration for our show, the Wow Report. And every year, we do a very, very important thing and come up with as many categories as humanly possible.
Ooh, 44 this year.
But
All right.
to nominate and ultimately award the best of the year, and it's not necessarily the people that are on everyone else's list. It's the special people who get us. It's our tribe, if you will.
Right. We do a lot of, best blog, best Twitter, best Instagram, best, things like that. But we also do, most viral moment and favorite drag queen cameo appearance.
For instance.
And, yeah.
My favorite is the OnlyFans award.
Is that
love-
that's the dirty thing?
Yeah.
Yes, that's the one when we were meeting that everybody had so many suggestions for.
Yeah, there's like 20.
The Only on My OnlyFans award.
Yeah.
For those of you who don't know or pretend not to know, on Twitter, there's a...
Instagram.
Oh, excuse me.
Is it?
No, it's on Twitter.
I thought it was just OnlyFans.
It's on Twitter, but on Twitter
it's a
they will
subscription.
they always link to OnlyFans. So if
Yeah.
you follow some hunky guy, that I'm sure women
You
do
can
it
see
too.
you can see
There's-
them more
it's- they're
naked.
more adult
They're
content.
Team, yes, and you pay a subscription.
It's like sometimes I hear it's like
It's-
$9.99 a month.
Well, interestingly,
I heard
though,
that too.
it's a way for hot guys to bypass the porn system,
Right.
And they don't, and that way
it's
they end up making 100
it's-
times what they would make doing scenes for porn.
exactly. It's a way for hot guys to monetize their junk.
Yes.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's sexual, and sometimes it's more posy. I've heard.
Well, okay. This year we got because we've announced the nominees, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Matthew Camp, Chris Crocker, Francois Sagat, Austin Wolf, Max Connor, Blake Mitchell, Boomer Banks, Milan Christopher.
Oh, Milan. Oh.
I love all of them, but Austin Wolf got on there for the notoriety. He's the one who filmed himself for his OnlyFans thing, having sex with the flight
Delta
attendant.
flight attendant.
Oh, right. Yeah. Yeah, that's
Oopsie.
hot. No, that's hot. Yeah.
That's hot.
Blake
You're
Mitchell
Paris
is
Hilton.
mine. Mine is Blake Mitchell. I love him so much.
I love
Oh my
him all.
God, Blake.
Give-
I'll have
read
to
us
do
another
some more
category, I'm
research.
curious.
Okay, the Vodka Soda Award, which is for the best LA gay bar.
Oh, good.
The Legends Only Award, which is a Lifetime Achievement
Well,
Award.
and that's not actually an award. That's just like an honor.
Yeah, Lifetime Achievement
Well,
Award,
can
right?
we
Carson Kressley, Lady Bunny, Candace Kane, Kristen Chenoweth, Jonathan Adler, and Simon Doonan.
That's an amazing list.
It is an amazing
And they're all
list,
friends of
yeah.
ours. Oh, no, but like Carson Kressley, who's got that great show on Bravo now on Fridays, Get a Room. We work with him at Drag Race, but like, you forget how important Queer Eye was in the 2000s.
Are you trying to throw it his direction?
No, I'm just saying. I don't know if he's up for anything. And Lady Bunny, of course, forever the oldest living drag. Oh,
Yeah.
we love Lady Bunny. Candace Kane again was Time Magazine recognized her over the years as the #1. That she was the first trans actress playing a trans role on a network show. And I just saw her recently. She's so beautiful. Kristen Chenoweth, we just had the lovely opportunity to do an ABC special with her.
Following her home.
And I love every beat of her. And then we ran into Jonathan Adler and Simon Doonan, who you've known forever,
Yes.
at DragCon. And I just have to say that Jonathan Adler was so lovely to all of us and said, I love and I hate RuPaul's Drag Race. And I said, why? He goes, I love it because it's an amazing show. I hate it because nothing gets done at my salon, at my stores the day after. He goes, I come up, they pretend they're working, I walk away, they talk about Drag Race. So,
You sound like you're about ready to.
I think I'm out. I think you won.
Yeah.
Well, then there's the Rest in Power Award. Also, Big Tony, Steven Saban, Zombie Boy, Miss Columbia, Dick Richards, Ted
Gone
Hunter.
but not forgotten.
Yeah.
Gone but not forgotten.
Wonderful
Yes.
lights in our
Oh,
lives.
there's so many awards, James. And James, you're presenting them, right?
No.
Not my contract.
We did tell the WOWIE Awards is
I
presented
know,
here.
I've done them for 10 years, and so this year I
What? You're
I-
resting?
Yeah, I am
I think
passing the baton.
Blake's taking over. But people can actually, we're mentioning this now because these are voted on, right?
They are, absolutely.
Yeah.
So where do you go to find out about the WOWIE Awards?
Worldwonder.net. There is a poll set up, and polldaddy.com
Right.
has done it, and you can vote, and we will announce the winners on the 6th.
So please, the WOWIE Awards.
Yeah.
But we are
Vote.
having an award-studded show
Oh, it's going to be fantastic. Oh, my God. The
December 6th, right?
Yeah, there's
Here
going to be
at World of Wonder-
performances
World of Wonder
and
headquarters.
jokes and cocktails,
On the
and
Boulevard.
it's just step and repeat.
But you will be here,
We
James.
might talk James into
Yeah,
presenting an award or two.
I mean, yes.
Well, the next morning, I get my teeth. I'm getting my bottom teeth.
Oh, good.
I'm very excited. Yes.
So you should have a last fling with your old teeth. Put them to some good use. Thanks for tuning into the WOW Report Radio and SiriusXM. Listen anytime on the Sirius Radio app or watch anytime on the WOW Report.
May I do a shameless plug for my friend Johnny's show,
I would
which
love
opens
that.
tonight, November 30th, Friday, in New York. It's a barbershop quartet musical called The Apple Boys. And I got to see a rehearsal when I was back there, and it's a hoot, and it's warm, and it's funny. You'll go bananas for The Apple Boys.
That's really good. Okay, same time, same place next week. Until then, go out and do something that makes the world go
Wow. Bye.